What is up, Flutter devs? In our continued porting of processing over to Flutter, we're getting close to the point where we can actually start to create some things with our port of processing. But before we get into some actual processing examples, there's one more set of methods that I think it's helpful for us to port, and that is the width and height queries, as well as the ability to set the width and height if so desired. Because a lot of the examples that we're going to find online, they're going to start by setting an explicit size and they're going to depend on that size. So we're going to make it easy to do that in the port of processing. Let's head over to the code and take a look at what we're dealing with. Here I have the spec open for the width query. I'll draw your attention to these two lines right here, one which is querying the width, the other querying the width divided by 2. There is similarly a height query. Again, it's just going to return the height of the available space, and then you can do whatever you want with that value. Because there are visual examples here, we should be able to widget test this the way we're used to, but we can also make use of width and height within the example app. Now, these two are, the width and height are queries. They're saying how wide, how tall. Size is a method that declares or sets what you want the width and height to be. In processing, the implementation of processing may have enough control over the application where you can essentially set the size and then nothing is drawn until the size is changed. In Flutter, we don't have that luxury. We can set the size, but it's up to Flutter the next time Flutter draws something. So it's possible that we're going to run into a slight timing issue when we try to set the size. Nonetheless, we're going to do something to give the user control over the width and the height. But first, let's get these queries figured out. Let's go create a new test suite. We're now working technically in the environment group of the API. So I'll create a new package called environment. And then to reflect the name of other tests, let's see, we'll create a Dart file. We will say, well, is there an overarching category? I guess that's the question, because there are two levels of category in this thing, right? So this, I guess, is technically structure. No, environment looks like it's a top level. So I guess environment is a top level category, but there is no second level category. Okay. Well, I will just come in here. I'll create a Dart file. We will call it environment test.dart. And we can just copy the beginning of one of these other tests. We'll copy down enough to get one test, and then we'll adjust for our needs. This group is going to be environment. We don't need a subgroup because there is no subgroup. The first test that we're going to do is width. We still want to configure the window as we usually do. We want a processing widget. We want a simple sketch. We'll come back in here in a minute. The name of our test file is going to be environment width, and this did some auto string concatenation that I don't want. Width example 1. And then we need to close all these things out. I guess that belongs there, and then another one, and another one. Nope, just that. Okay, I think we're all auto-formatted. And now we have our test set up. We just need to have it do what it needs to do. Let's come back over here to look at the width. These are the 4 lines that we want to recreate. s.noStroke, s.background, colors, black, no, black, and then s.rect from, this looks like left top width height. So left 0, top 40, width is going to be s.width. We haven't implemented that yet. Height is 20. And As always, I've forgotten to make this a cascade, which gives us a little bit easier time reading what we're doing here. And then we're going to create a second rectangle. This one is going to be what? 0, 60, width divided by 2, and then 20, and then we're done. All right, first goal, make this compile. Second goal, hope that it renders the right thing. We need s.width. There needs to be a width defined on our sketch. Here's our environment. We need some kind of width, which should probably just return some value that we have in here, which will be width. I think initially we'll go with 0. 0 isn't necessarily true, but null is probably a more dangerous value to return for width. While we're here, we might as well set up for height because it's going to be the same thing, whatever our solution is here. Because our painter, so there's a question, where does our width and height come from? The thing about the widget tree versus the painting is that the place that we state what we want the width and height to be is actually different from the source of truth. The source of truth, the thing that tells us how wide and tall we really are, is this right here inside of our painter. Our painter's going to say, here's your size. The widget tree has laid itself out. This is the size that you have available. Whether that is exactly the same as the size that we requested, we don't know. Most of the time it will be, but there can be situations where it's not. This comes from the fact that in processing, what you're painting is the entire window. It is the entire app. The good thing about Flutter is that we can put a processing sketch in the middle of absolutely anything we want. The downside is that the area available for our sketch is subject to whatever that larger layout is. In any event, so I guess we were already setting the size. Where were we using this? We were using it, I guess, to paint the background. Okay. Well, so we already had this problem solved for us pretty much. We don't need to store width and height independently. Instead, we can say size.width and size.height. Is this underscore maybe? All right, what are you complaining about? Okay, let's see. I'm returning an integer. This thing is a double. From processing's perspective, I think processing always expects an integer. So to play along with processing for now, let's go ahead and go with an integer. Now, size should not be public. I think I made these public in case the painter was going to be defined in a different file. I suppose we can deal with that problem when it comes up. For now, let's see if I can make these private. Okay, I think for now that works. It's possible that when we reorganize all this source code, and we are going to reorganize this source code because it's really not healthy to just add and add and add and add. We already have, look at all this junk we have in here. This is not great. We want to find a better way to break this up. But until we need to deal with privacy issues, let's make these things all private, because clients, end users of this package should not know that these things exist. We now have width and height that we can obtain as integers. Let's see what this is complaining about. Okay. So that wants a double. Save that. And let's also add our test for height while we're here. And let's see what the height test wants to paint. So 40, 0 wants a width of 20 and a height that is the height of the whole thing. And then the second one is 60, 0, a width of 20, and height divided by 2. Let's see if I have that right. We're going to say Flutter test update Goldens, and I'm going to specify the file because we want to run everything in this file. Let's see if that blows up or what we get. Okay, something went wrong. Let's see. Pump and settle timed out. Why would that be? I actually, I probably should have run our tests before committing the animation code. I believe we are running a ticker constantly now, which is going to prevent all of the golden tests from ever actually taking a snapshot. Unless, so in screen matches golden, it automatically keeps pumping the widget tree until there are no more animations. We are in effect animating constantly. We never stop. We could, let's see. One thing we could do, well, I guess I haven't implemented the ability to stop animating yet. I forgot to do that in the animation. I think there's an ability to stop drawing. Where would that be defined? Well, I'm forgetting the name of the call right now, but I'm pretty sure somewhere in here we can call something that says only draw once, or don't call draw anymore, or something like that. In any event, given that I can't remember what it's called, I definitely haven't implemented it. If I'm remembering correctly, and if we were to implement that thing, then every test could just say don't draw. Given that that's not the case, what we probably want to do is limit our test to just one pump. So this custom pump thing here, I think it takes a callback, and then we can just say await tester.pump. First, let's see if this solves the problem for this one test, and then we'll decide what to do about the others. Okay, it generated Goldens, but it didn't draw anything. Okay. Well, let's take one more step to make sure we understand the nature of this problem. The problem could still be the fact that we're only pumping the widget tree one time, or the problem could actually be something up here in what we're drawing. Let's go to another test that's failing and see if a custom pump makes it work again. Let's take square example 1. What that should draw is this. First, let's prove that it's failing. So we'll say Flutter test. We're not going to update Goldens. We're going to say test shape 2D. Yep. And then we want a plain name. We only want to run this one test. The plain name is square example 1. And we're expecting it to run forever and then say, nope, pump and settle timed out. Okay, that's what we expected. Now let's paste the custom pump. I guess I lost it on the keyboard or on the clipboard. All right, now let's see what happens with that square test. Okay, it failed, and it still says pump and settle timed out. Did I paste it in the right place? Oh, I think nope, I did not paste it in the right place. Where did square go? Square, example 1. Ugh, I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, and now it failed because it painted something different. Now we have this failures folder here. We have the master image, which we already knew, and then here's the image from the test. It's blank. So if we only pump one time, we're not drawing anything. Our custom painter, for some reason, isn't drawing anything. Now, why would that be the case? This probably has something to do with the logic, the animation work that was done in the last video. Let's see if we can figure it out. I'm thinking maybe we're skipping draw. So let's say print on draw, and then draw painting scene. Let's see if we get both of those print statements. So it paints the first frame. The second frame doesn't paint the scene. And that is the problem. Because we're painting the background again, but we're not painting the content. I think if we pass a duration, we're going to pretend like this much time went by. 17 milliseconds is more than one frame. Let's see if that's enough to get it to draw. Okay, notice two things. This time, it actually painted the content, the scene, the second time, and our test is passing again. If we take this same custom pump, let's go to environment test. Let's replace this custom pump. And let's replace this custom pump. And let's regenerate both of those files. Well, there we go. That's for the height, and that's for the width, and that's what we expected. Width, height. As for this testing problem, I'm going to solve that another time. It's not real. We should have found it and fixed it during animation. We didn't. I'm not going to do it now during width and height. And I probably need to think a little bit about what the appropriate solution is. There are a few different things we can do. None of them are great. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Or maybe I'll figure it out off camera and just merge it in. But we have the width and the height now. We can query them. That's good. However, there's still this ability where we want to set the width and the height. Let's go look at our example app. In our example app, we have a scaffold, we have a center, and then we have a sized box. And the sized box determines the size of the processing widget. If we're going to respect the ability to set size, then we should not explicitly set the size here. Our processing widget internally should do something to set the size. In here where we have our custom paint, let's put a center around this. And then custom paint accepts a size, which we already set to infinite. It should not be infinite. It should be something like sketch width, sketch height, for example. Well, widget.sketch. This communication between our sketch and our widget tree is something that doesn't exist in processing. Therefore, I don't want to make these properties public. The width and height properties represent what the width and height actually are. They don't represent the desired width and height. I think for now, what I'm going to do is have a desired width and a desired height. These are private to this file so that only our processing implementation knows about them. It doesn't risk anybody either querying them or setting them or anything like that. So let's come down to where we have our other private information. We will have a desired width, which is going to be 100 by default, and a desired height, which is going to be 100 by default, because 100 by 100 seems to be the default for processing, which is why all of our tests are 100 by 100. Let's save that. And now, let's see, what's it complaining about here? More of this int to double stuff. Okay. When we run our example app, our sketch should now be 100 by 100 because the only thing impacting the size is this line right here. Let's go ahead and build and run the app. Okay. Well, we still have the weird sketch stuff going on from the animation implementation. Here's our sketch. One interesting thing that this flashing dot brings up is what should happen to content outside of the sketch. We could crop it or clip it. I think for now I'm okay seeing it because it kind of shows us where our mistakes are. At some point, maybe we make the decision, maybe we offer a parameter to clip, for example. So let me go back to, here's the example app. Let me get rid of this stuff. Let's let the frame rate be what it wants to be. And let's say, let's draw a circle at the size. We will say s.width, s.height.center, offset 0. That gives us the center, diameter 50. I don't know what this, why is everything exclusively a double? I don't understand this. Like, can size not figure out how to interpret an integer as a double? Is this too much to ask? Okay. 100 by 100, we have a 50 pixel diameter circle at the center of our 100 by 100 canvas. Let's come up here. Let's get rid of these print statements because those are annoying me in the console. In setup, let's say, well, I'm sorry, I guess we implemented the beginning of size and then I got distracted and didn't actually implement size. So there's supposed to be an ability to say you are this size. Where is our environment implementation? So here's width, here's height. We want to say set size. What this is going to do is it's going to say width, desired width equals new size, width round, desired height, new size, height round. And then on the next frame, the widget tree will adjust its size. S.size equals, let's say 400 by 400, save, and there we go, 400 by 400. And let's also set the background. I just want to see if we can make it white and see if it stays white. Nope. Why is that? Another thing I forgot to do before. We have a background color that needs to be updated every time somebody invokes background. Save. Now it's white. Okay. Where are all these print statements coming from? Did I leave print statements in here? Yes, I did. Shouldn't do that. Shouldn't ever leave print statements around. Now we do also want to run a test for the ability to set size. We've proven it works in practice, but it's good to lock it down in a test. Let's come back down to our environment test. We'll copy this one for height. We'll say size, and now it's occurring to me that using a setter is not what this should actually be. At least from a processing perspective, it should be void size int width int height. Right, let's make sure that's correct. Yeah. And I'm going to make these named. When you have two or more things of the same type, it's typically a good idea to give them names so that people are sure as to what each of the parameters represents. Width, height, save. Everything still seems good here. Okay, back to the test. Let's see, so there are examples here, but there's no image to the left for us to compare against. I think all we're going to do, so we want to provide setup because that's where this actually happens. We want to say s.size, let's say 200 by 200. And then we actually don't care about drawing anything. And this will be environment size example 1. Okay. Terminal, update Goldens, and let's see what comes out the other side. Okay. Now that's only 100 by 100, so that's not good. We may need to pump a second frame on this one. Let's see if that is enough. Still 100 by 100. What are we missing here? Obviously, it's working for us here. Now, the reason I added the second pump is because we know that there's going to be one frame that's rendered before setup is called, and then setup is called, then we set the width and the height, then is the next frame where that information is actually used. But for some reason, that is not happening here. Let's see if drawing something actually makes a difference. So, well, no. This is the problem. Literally, there's only 100 pixels by 100 pixels to paint. I guess for this one in particular, we will readjust this available size. All right, now we're 200 by 200. And now it was gonna be 200 by 200 no matter what. The important thing is that we painted all of that space. In fact, let's make this even more explicit. Let's make this 250 by 250. We should see, we'll still have the circle at the center. Then we should have a 250 by 250 square, and then there should be some empty space. I'm not sure whether it'll be black or white or transparent or what, but let's see. So transparent. You can see that we're only painting 200 by 200, which is what we expected, and the rest of the space is just left empty. So that test is good to go. We now have 3 tests with width, height, and the ability to set size. We've proven those things here inside of our main app. We use width and height to position the circle, and we set the size up here in setup. With that, I need to go figure out what we're going to do about the rest of these tests now that we have animation built in. I need to either conditionally turn it off, or I need to do a custom pump on every test. I'll figure that out on my own. With this ability, though, I think we have enough of the API surface written that we can actually start to play with some real examples that we find elsewhere on the web. So I think starting with the next video, we're going to put together some little kind of processing UI experiments, and I'll see you then.